I mean, I was told by my film professor, there are films and there are movies. And sometimes you've got to know what you're walking into.
Yeah. See, but I come from a time when movies were films.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Court of Cinema podcast. I'm your host, Logan, and we talk about everything film and TV here on this incredible show. Today is a little bit of a fun one. Today I'm talking about How to Train Your Dragon from 2014. So a couple things that I haven't done in a very long time is, number one, an intro for the show. I haven't done an intro here in like many months. I think the last time I did an intro on the show was like in December or November of last year. So it's been many months, but I'm in kind of a mood. I changed the setup a little bit, so I'm feeling a little bit holly jolly with the show. And also, the last time I talked about How to Train Your Dragon was April of 2023. So that was like the first episode ever that we ever did. And it's been a very long time. A lot's changed, obviously. And I was supposed to do this episode actually last January. That was when I was supposed to do it. I last watched it on the December 28th, 2023, and I expected to do it like January, that next month, but things obviously changed. That never happened. I started doing like Deadpool stuff and a bunch of other random episodes, so it's kind of got lost in all the noise, so I kind of pushed it back to August, I guess, is when it's coming out. So yeah, How to Train Your Dragon 2, it's happening today. This movie is really good, and I'm also just kind of bored. I don't have a lot to go out and see right now. I already did Alien. I saw Trap, but never did a review for Trap. That was a really good movie too. But also, House of the Dragon is over, so I'm very bored right now. House of the Dragon Season 2 was fun. It was cool. Season 1 is still better for House of the Dragon, but, Season 2, still good. Still more of like a, pre-season meal for Season 3 of the show. But still, House of the Dragon ended. I'm very bored. I don't have a lot to do. I'm very hungry for dragons. So, that being said, How to Train Your Dragon, you get it. This film came out in 2014, and just for 2014 as a whole, this is a kind of big year for film. We had the Lego Movie, which was a very big smash hit, and also Big Hero 6 came out in 2014. Also in 2014, there's a lot just to talk about just within the brand of DreamWorks. Like, the brand has grown a lot during this time. Since the first movie, which was in 2010, How to Train Your Dragon 1 to 2014, we had a lot happen with this franchise here. We had Shrek 4 come out, big thing for DreamWorks, Megamind, Kung Fu Panda 2, which is an absolutely exquisite film, and also we had just a lot of just really big stuff for the brand of DreamWorks, which is huge. I mean, it definitely showed that the, movie during the time that it came out in was just such a long time ago, very, very old. Seeing how much has come out in between these two films just shows just how much time has passed for just real life world stuff. And, it's also 4 years past the first film. So that's really big to say, because in 2010, I was, I think, 6 seeing the first movie. And then in 2014, I'm now like 10 or 11 seeing the second film. So your audience is 4 years older, so they're 4 years more mature for this world and for this movie. So you have to now mature with your audience to be a more just bigger and more darker and more mature story, because that's what we want as bigger kids. We want more edgier stuff going into our teenage years, and that's what the film does very well. Also, in the first film, it's cool seeing how he's like a little boy like me. In the second movie, he has a little bit of stubble, like how I do now. I'm like 20 and still have a little bit of a beard growing in. I can't grow a full beard. I don't want to talk about it, so let's just move on a little bit here. But, the design choice for having them grow up as well in the second movie is subtle, but also very smart, just for me to see in the audience, hey, my friends are back and they all grown up. It's really cool. But just going into the movie, my first experience of it is that it was really good. It was exciting. It was cool. Well, I guess, like I said before, to see my friends come back to the big screen and a whole new story, a whole new world is fun. It's really cool, really engaging for me, just being a little boy at the time. And also just for the quality of the movie, objectively, it's very smart to do that. Have your film and your whole world mature into the next movie is good. It's very smart and very well done. And writer-director Dean DeBlois is really brilliant for this entire film. He does an incredible job with all three of these movies. He did the first film as well, and also as we go into the later movie here with Into the Hidden World, that movie is really good as well. Not as good as the first two, in my opinion, but I haven't seen it in a long time. And he'll also be coming back for the next movie next year for the live-action How to Train Your Dragon movie. Will that be good? Who knows, but I'm still pretty excited for it. But with this movie, circling back to How to Train Your Dragon 2 2014, He made the first film, smash hit, made a lot of money. A lot of people loved it, like myself. And there was a little bit of a checklist that he had to have happen for him to come back for the next film. The first thing is that he knew that the movie needed to be bolder and understood that when he was offered the role, it needed to be a bigger film for the audience. Like I said before, this movie is coming out 4 years later, so you're 4 years older now for your audience. So the film needs to be bolder, darker, a bigger sequel for the whole entire world and the franchise, which it does very well. And also, when he was offered the role of the sequel, he needed to be a trilogy, which is very true. This whole world and the whole character of Hiccup really needs to be all capsulized into one singular, very strong trilogy. He obviously got that done. That was accepted very quickly from the big guys up there at DreamWorks. And also, he wanted to pull inspiration from Empire Strikes Back, which, obviously Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, that's one of the best sequels ever made. But what that movie does that makes it just really good is that it expands the world emotionally in its scope. It also adds more depth to the characters, which this film does, like I said, does it very, very well. And also, like I said before, with Empire Strikes Back and also this movie explores more of questions that we had before. Also, it gets very dark in Empire Strikes Back, and also in this movie gets very dark and very sad, which is good to see movies take that bolder approach and not be so safe, not be so cookie cutter, and just not be so vanilla, and just really add more taste to the movie. And so the day is June 13th, 2014. After a overall pretty good marketing campaign for the movie, how will it perform critically and also financially? Will people go see it? Will people like it like the first film? How will this film do for everyone? And the answer is the film did pretty good. Now, this year is very stacked, but the movie still found a way to make its mark in 2014. Like how the film grossed $621 million against a budget of $145 million, made good money. This movie did rank 12th on the year for the overall box office, but that may sound pretty bad. But at the same time, this year was just very stacked for film. Transformers 4 Age of Extinction, and also The Hobbit, Battle of the Five Armies, Guardians of the Galaxy. You also had Captain America, Winter Soldier. The year is stacked for film in general. Interstellar came out this year too. So this year is a lot. Lego Movie, Baymax, Big Hero 6. The year has a lot of movies coming out, so it makes sense that the film did gross money, but also was a little bit lower on the whole box office ranking. It may sound bad, but hey, it was very competitive, so I'm happy it made any money at all. Over on Rotten Tomatoes, this film did very good over there. Has a 92% critic score and a 90% audience score. Certified fresh, definitely deserving, but is it 92%? In my opinion, no. I don't think it's that good, but still, 90% is kind of fair. Over on the Roger Ebert website, Roger Ebert sadly passed away before the film came out, but we do have a review here from Susan W. Her full last name is very long. I'm not going to try to attempt to say it because that'll be very disrespectful to her. So you can read her full review down below and also see her full last name. I'm not going to try to say it. She gave this film a 3.5 out of 4 star there. That 4-star ranking, I'm still not that happy with it. It's a very weird system, but she did write a little blurb here that's very good. In her review, she wrote, "But the most rewarding and complex relationship rightfully remains the one between Hiccup and Toothless. In these films, they are as inseparable as Roy Rogers and Trigger." And you may be asking yourself, Logan, who is Roy Rogers and Trigger? I didn't know that question either. I didn't know who those guys were. Apparently, they're like, Hiccup and Toothless, but a cowboy and a horse, which is, really cool. Roy Rogers and Trigger. I've never heard of them. Never seen that Western before. But yeah, sure, you get the point. They're really inseparable. Great chemistry, great duo. I'll say this now. I think that Hiccup and Toothless, top 5 duo in cinematic history. Is that something that I'll regret saying tomorrow morning? Yeah. But it's like 12:26 at night right now, so who cares? Over on Letterboxd, this film has a 3.7 out of 5 average. Definitely a very fair average. We have one review here from Nick Moron. That's his name. I'm not calling him a moron. That's just his name on Letterboxd. He gave this film a 4 out of 5, just like me. And he said that 2 movies into this trilogy, so it might be early to say this, but this might be shaping up to be the greatest animated movie trilogy ever made. And, I have to admit, this movie trilogy here with How to Train Your Dragon might surpass Kung Fu Panda for me. And I love Kung Fu Panda. It's really good. It's really great. And this may be me saying that it might be the best just because of Kung Fu Panda 4. I understand, Kung Fu Panda 4, haven't seen it, but I've heard it's like terrible, abysmal, definitely not good for the franchise, a disservice, a disgrace to the Kung Fu Panda name. But still, even past that, I'm not that big of a fan of Kung Fu Panda 3, and I have to rewatch the third How to Train Your Dragon film. But as it stands right now, I think that this one is more consistent than that of Kung Fu Panda. I may be wrong, may need to revisit that trilogy again, even though I already did like back in March. But still, I love both these trilogies, but I think this one might be the best of all time. It might be. I'm not even sure what other contenders there are for best animated movie trilogy. Let me try to look that up real fast. I don't know at all. I mean, let me know what you think. Is it maybe Kung Fu Panda? Is it something else? I don't even know what there really is. There's Madagascar. I mean, sure, why not? Toy Story is also good, but they did have the fourth film for some reason. We don't talk about that one though, so that's whatever. And that really seems to be it. I mean, there's also not done yet. We don't even know when the third film's going to be coming out, but also Spider-Man animated trilogy there, Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse. So far, they're on par to be maybe even better than the Dark Knight trilogy. So that is also something that can happen. Also, Ice Age, a really cool trilogy. But, as it stands right now, as of August 27th, 2024, the best animated movie trilogy might be Toy Story, and then after that, maybe Kung Fu Panda or How to Train Your Dragon. So as it stands right now, that's where it is. We haven't gone beyond the Spider-Verse yet, so I don't know how that film will even be. Will it be bad? Will it be good? Who knows? But as it stands right now, How to Train Your Dragon, top 3 animated trilogy of all time. Could change in like the next 5 years, but we'll see. But yeah, as it stands for this film alone, this movie is definitely a drop-off in quality from the first film. I still really love the first movie. I do love this movie as well, but I think that the first movie does things that makes this film not look good. I'll talk about them more a little bit further. I gave the film an 8 out of 10. It's a B for me. I'll just say my score right now and save you the time. If you want to leave, go ahead. So the film is good. It's a B for me, not a B plus, maybe a B plus, but yeah, it's a B. It's solid. It is still consistent with what the first film did, but the first film just does things better. I can't really explain it, but I will in a second. So yeah, with all of my blabbering out of the way, I'll just go ahead and start diving into How to Train Your Dragon 2. I have a little bit of notes here that are really good and that I think will definitely explain why the movie just is good, but really fails to be as good as it really can be, and maybe how I can fix it a little bit. Alright, so I have a little bit of notes here just to kind of go through and also just go through why the film isn't that good. But just like I said before, coming off of the first film of How to Train Your Dragon back in 2010, the first movie just really goes through the themes of finding yourself and really finding who you are and not really trying to linger on what other people want you to be, but becoming who you are first and finding yourself, which is an incredible message, incredible theme. But the second one kind of expands on that a little bit and goes into growing up and more so taking responsibility for really just becoming a better person, really growing up, which also incredible theme, a little bit different from finding yourself, but still that theme is incredible. The theme in the movie really does do a great job of being delivered to the audience really thoroughly and also in a way that doesn't feel like it's a lecture to the audience, which I definitely do respect. And just going to the meat and potatoes here, the opening for the film is fire. The animation bump is fire. The new dragon games they're playing is really cool as well. But also the best scene in the entire film is Hiccup and Toothless in the sky, gliding with the wings. That's just scrumptious chef's kiss. The music, the cinematography, the clouds, all of it, the stakes, it's great. That first scene, the opening for the film is perfect. It's perfection. Couldn't change a thing about it. But also what's very good about the delivery of the themes for this movie is that the film just does start very, very quickly. Like in the very first opening, like 5 seconds, when we go into the opening credits and also the opening title thing there, we see that Hiccup is leaving Berk. That's a little bit of a little small thing you can notice there. In the first few seconds of the movie, the very first opening, you can actually notice Hiccup leaving Berk after his dad told him you need to be chief for Berk, which is a cool thing to notice, but also just shows immediately that Hiccup is running from what he's supposed to be. It's something that he doesn't exactly want to be, but something that he needs to be is chief as the son of the chief himself, Stoic. It's such a big role that he can't really envision himself inside of, but still something that I think is good just because it's a theme that a lot of people really do struggle with in life as a whole. There's different things in life that I don't even really see myself doing, but I know that eventually I'll need to do them, like, I don't know, paying taxes, which is, I don't really like paying taxes, but, whatever, that's dumb. Voting is also dumb, but I still have to do it. Owning a car and paying a car note. Didn't really want to do that like 5 years ago, but, now I do, which I hate. So Hiccup running from what he's supposed to be and also holding on to what he is right now is the entire movie. That's the entire film at its core, which is really good. I mean, seeing him in the first film, finding who he's supposed to be, and him to an extent having to throw that away to become the chief of the village is something that is really relatable to a lot of people. And him just telling himself and telling Astrid that it's not who he is, doesn't really envision who he thinks he can be, which is fair to think, but also something that's also very selfish and arrogant of Hiccup, which is what it makes me love him so much and really see a lot of myself in this character. And also another character in this film that I see a lot of myself inside of is that of Jon Snow in this movie. His name's actually Eric, not Jon Snow, but he's played by Kit Harington, who also plays Jon Snow. Jon Snow, literally me. Right now we're going into September and also that of October and November and December. So winter is here. Winter is coming. I'm currently trying to get into my winter arc mindset right now. So I'm definitely going into my more grind set mode in life right now. But, Jon Snow in this film, very cool. I love Jon Snow. I love this voice actor. Love Kit Harington. Love this film. Jon Snow, he's gas. I love him. But, also with Jon Snow being in this movie, we get introduced to the villain of the film, which is where my problems start with this movie. The villain in this movie is that much of a plot device and more of like a paperweight than an actual character, which isn't always exactly bad. I mean, looking at different kinds of movies here, Darth Vader in the first movie, he does have a bit of a character to him, but, he is one of the greatest villains ever made of all time, one of the best characters in all film, really. But still, Darth Vader, he, is, I guess, a kind of a plot device to a little bit, and sometimes. But still, he has a great character to him, which makes him that much better. Darth Vader is great because Anakin and the origin of Darth Vader is a tragedy, which is what makes him that much better. In this movie, I love the villain. I love Drago. He's great. He's fun. But yet they don't do anything really with him. It's a cool concept, yet they don't do a lot with him. Instead, he more so drives the plot, drives Hiccup's character journey, which is really good as well. I love the way he really elevates the story, elevates the plot. Adding that conflict to this movie is what's needed for the film to succeed. He definitely does, I think, maybe has some inspiration from Darth Vader and also other cool villains like Joker as well. But the thing that's missing is them just making him more of a character for the film. Like in the first movie, there is a conflict, there is a plot here, but it didn't really require a villain. I just watched the first film like an hour ago, actually, and I noticed that in the first movie, there's no villain, yet there's still conflict. I mean, the main story with the first movie is that Hiccup's trying to become himself and really find who he is, and that is the conflict for the movie. Yes, there's also Toothless in there. Yes, there is the Queen of the Dragons, but that's more of just the final boss battle for the film. The main meat and potatoes and story and conflict for the film is that Hiccup is trying to become who he wants to be and trying to find who he wants to be, which is what makes the story progress forward. So, therefore, in the first movie, it is more so of a character-driven movie. In the second movie, yes, it is a character-driven movie as well. Yet in the first film, what works with that is that there is no villain in the movie. There is the, like I said, dragon queen bee thing lady at the end of the movie, but that's just, like I said, a final boss battle. Instead, in this movie, there's that of Drago, who's a actual person, an actual character, yet he shows up halfway through the film, and they don't do anything really with him at all, which is very disappointing. But still, what I have to admit is masterful about his inclusion with the story is that it really does start to seep through Hiccup's ignorance with this movie, and also Hiccup, yes, is ignorant, but what he's trying to do is trying to reason with Drago and maybe show him that dragons aren't that bad, which is really good for Hiccup. It shows me that this is the character that I love. He's very, white cowboy hat kind of guy. He's very very stereotypical hero figure, which is really good. Yet at the same time, it's just really not how real life can work sometimes. Yes, I always talk about how instead of black and white, there's more of a gray. But with Hiccup, he's seeing life as more of a gray. Maybe Drago isn't a villain. Maybe he's someone who can be reasoned with. Instead, Drago is really evil and beyond reasoning, and there is just only black and white in the world sometimes. Just like in The Dark Knight, when Alfred said some men just want to watch the world burn, Drago is just one of those men who really does just have no reason in the movie. He doesn't really need to have one big, incredible little turnaround for the character to become a real good guy. And that's also in the Lego movie, they do that too, where in the Lego movie, we have Mr. Boss being the real big bad guy in the end of the film, and they tell him, you don't need to always be the bad guy, which, is kind of cap because, in this movie, Drago is a psychopath. He's psychotic, he's crazy, he's up here waving his arms and yelling maniacally at people and all the dragons, which is, terrifying and horrifying. He is more of a black and white villain, a very just one-dimensional evil bad guy, rah, 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 not a lot of exciting stuff to him. Which is another thing that's really just not good about Drago, is that he doesn't have a lot to do in the film besides be bad and evil and push the plot forward. Yes, he has potential, great voice actor, great design, real cool stuff, but, you could at least try to do something a little bit cool with him. And at the same time, I understand we go to How to Train Your Dragon more for the dragons and Hiccup and all the gang, and not so much of a Drago. This isn't like a Drago movie, but still, I think if you're going to have a villain in the movie, at least try to make him somewhat interesting, somewhat cool, even a little bit will be fun. I mean, he also is a character that you can maybe go into his origin a little bit. And we also see, like with DreamWorks, this isn't anything new for DreamWorks. They've made good villains in the past, like Tai Lung, like Shen in Kung Fu Panda as well. Tai Lung and Shen in Kung Fu Panda movies are, I think, some of my favorite villains in all of film. Yes, cliche, yes, very film bro, TikTok taste villains, but I think that, yes, Tai Lung, his origin will always be sad for me. Even at 20 years old, me watching Tai Lung's origin almost makes me cry. Me watching Shen's origin in that movie almost makes me cry because it really is just that sad. So it's nothing new. DreamWorks has it in them to make really good villains. Yet in this movie, they didn't really try to, which is very sad. But, maybe in the future, maybe with the next How to Train Your Dragon live action trilogy that they do, they'll add more to the characters and add more to the villains, which I'm definitely all here for. And speaking of characters who definitely need more with them, is the same boat here with Hiccup's mom in the movie. Hiccup's mom, I love her. I love Cate Blanchett, like as an actress and also as a woman. She's beautiful. But Hiccup's mom in the movie is here. I love that she's here. That's one of the biggest questions we had in the past, that, where's Hiccup's mom? We see Hiccup's dad, Hiccup's, whole gang here, the tribe. But what happened to Hiccup's mom? That never really was really explored, left, open for future installments. And here, one of the biggest questions from the last film, where's Hiccup's mom? It's here, it's explored, it's explained, which is good. But once again, there's not a lot to really do with her. It feels like she's more so just shoehorned in for fan service and just really, explain stuff to the fans. And yes, she does have a pretty core part in the story. She has a cool little character beat in here as well. Yet I can't help but think they could have just done more with her. Maybe just add, I think, with this film, what it really needs is just more time to be a movie. I mean, like how with Drago, he's mentioned in like the first maybe 20 minutes. He doesn't show up into 50 minutes into the film. That's over halfway through the film. We're already like in the climax of the film, and our villain is now on screen, actually speaking in the present. That just shouldn't be the reality. I think that Drago should be in the film a little bit more, and maybe the film should just be longer. I mean, the film clocks in at 1 hour and 42 minutes. I get it. This is a kid's film. This is DreamWorks. That's the average runtime for a movie. But at the same time, make the film like 2 hours and 20 minutes long. Why not? I mean, yes, I understand kids are going to get bored. The pacing may be a little bit slow. But if you need to make the film a little bit longer at the expense of, having more character depth with the movie, I say go for it. I mean, just imagine the film as it is right now, but adding in maybe an extra 20 minutes just to have more moments with Hiccup and his mom, also with Drago being the big bad villain. It may be like a little bit of a, cat and mouse goose chase for the movie, but still, if you have a little more time, 20, 35 minutes, that could add a whole lot more for the movie. So yeah, the film does have great concepts, but at the same time, not really good balancing. What results is the film, yes, being dark, yes, being deep, but the film just really feeling a little bit too rushed. But at the same time, like I say, the film definitely can benefit from having at least 20, 30 more minutes, but still the film does have really good moments thrown in here as well that definitely can benefit from, like I said, having 5 or 4 good moments to make the film really stand out and really be good. It's not bad. I mean, look at the scenes that we have here with like the opening sequence, like with the dragon racing, cool stuff there. The opening sequence with Hiccup and also Toothless, that's just really scrumptious. Also, casually one of the best sequences in the entire history of DreamWorks, like with Hiccup's mom and also Stoic meeting again for the first time in years, is very sad and also very beautiful. That scene of him meeting the love of his life for the first time in 20 years really can say so much, but with one single beautiful line of dialogue, that you're just as beautiful as the day I lost you, is just perfect for that sequence, perfect for the scene, perfect for the character. Seeing someone that's as masculine, as big as Stoic, really be able to break down and be so vulnerable is beautiful for this entire film and for that character. Yet again, at the same time, what's also just really, really sad, and this is kind of how the film goes, is that we only have Hiccup and Valga and also Stoic being in the same room together in the same movie for like maybe 10 minutes, which is very sad. But at the same time, I think maybe, like I say, once again, make the film a little bit longer, 20, 30 more minutes, have them be together a little bit more, really sell this whole family dynamic to me. That could really benefit and make the film like 10 times better. I'm not a screenwriter. I've never been to film school. I've never written a movie before, but I'm just saying that the film does feel at times a little bit too hollow. I mean, great concept, a beautiful car on the outside, but at the same time, on the inside, it has like 100 horsepower. So yeah, that's kind of what it is here. Like with the climax of the film is really good. I do like it. It's very rushed though at the same time. Like I say, Drago like just showed up like maybe 10 minutes ago and he's now in the climax of the film into the third act. It's too fast. It's too much for me. It really needs to have more time to be a really, really developed movie. But what I will admit is good with the ending here in the climax of the movie is one, Stoic's death, and also Hiccup pushing Toothless away after the death of Stoic is incredible for the character. That's really the anchor of this movie, is this one moment. The entire film is this one character defining moment in the movie, which is so good. I mean, we see here that Stoic's death is one very, very bold. It's nothing exactly new to have a character die in an animated movie. It happens like all of them, actually, which is very weird. But still, having the character that dies to Toothless be Stoic is just 100 times better, 100 times more impactful for the character. And the fact that this is all really Hiccup's fault. I mean, yes, it was Drago who made it happen, but at the same time, Hiccup trying to talk to Drago and really convince him that dragons aren't that bad is one, incredible for Hiccup to show me that he is such a good character that is filled with so much hope and also just aspires to be a better person than Drago, make him a better person as well. But still seeing the consequence of that being that he loses his father is the ultimate cost, which is also just one, extremely risky, but also an incredibly thing that's well worth it for the movie. Having something that bold happen in the movie shows that one, no one's safe in this world. They're not afraid to kill off a character. Also, a character this big, being what the second biggest character in the entire franchise, is everything for this movie to make it work. Just like Dean DeBoy said when he wanted to make the film in the first place, the movie needs to be darker. It needs to have more dark moments. The audience is not kids anymore. They understand what death is. They understand what all this dark, tragic stuff is in this entire world. So we need to really capitalize on that. And they did it perfectly here. And also right after that, the person who kills Hiccup's dad being Hiccup's best friend in the movie is also sad, seeing him having to push him away, even though it wasn't exactly Toothless's fault, which makes it even more sad, is beautiful as well. And him, as we see in the opening of the movie, what the entire theme of this entire movie is that of taking responsibility for your life and really taking responsibility of being chief and also for your actions and your consequences, the good and the bad. That's what the film is. That's what the film ultimately comes to at this point, him taking responsibility for everything and just really growing up into that role of chief in this film, which is incredibly beautiful. And also with that of growing up comes the forgiveness of Toothless, which is something that I don't even think that anyone should really even do. I mean, yes, if your dad dies to your dog, even though it wasn't exactly your dog's fault, having to forgive your dog in that moment is something that few people in the world can even do. Yet he does here, which shows just his growth with this entire movie and this entire world, the entire trilogy, showing just how much writers and the screenwriters and the directors really know that this is definitely much more of a character-driven trilogy here, which is good. But at the same time, Like I said before, sound like a broken record, should be more with this movie, should have more moments to really sell and elevate the characters. And the character moments, the character development with this trilogy could be more, could be better, with just a little bit more time in the oven. But also having both these characters in your movie, Hiccup and Toothless, being the real center frame, I guess, and the real framework of the entire trilogy, having them both be very similar in their path of life and being the same age as well, we find out in this film, is beautiful. It's great. It's such a great way to really sell this world and sell this character. And also, as we go into the last film here for Hidden World, the way they do that movie, haven't seen it in years, but still, the way they do the third and final entry into this whole entire trilogy is beautiful. I think it's really good from what I remember. Once again, haven't seen it in years, but I'm still happy to go into it. So that's it. The film's over. The film is good. How to Train Your Dragon 2. This one is a step down in quality from the first movie. There's no denying it. It is a dip lower, but I still think the film is really good. Does what it needs to do. It could have been better, like I say before, but at its core, being a real character-driven movie, it's great. It's really good. What they do with Hiccup and Toothless is beautiful. The animation's great as well. Having Roger Deakins in this movie being a visual consultant for the film is very good. Written all over the entire movie. It's just filmed, or sorry, not filmed, I'm an idiot. Animated very beautifully, and one that I can just watch for every day for the rest of my life, wouldn't be mad. Also, the score from John Powell, didn't mention it somehow. That's also just tragic and incredible. But, you know, I can't stop thinking about it. But, you know, Ramin Djawadi with House of the Dragon. I'm still on House of the Dragon. I'm sorry. It's only been like 2 weeks. I'm really hungry for that right now. But House of the Dragon score is also really good. Had to mention it, even though I really shouldn't. It's great. Love it. But with all that yapping out of the way, it's time to go into our awards section of the show. Superlatives. We have our MVP, also the best scene in the movie, best this, best that. It's a whole ton of fun. Superlatives, awards. If you want to leave, you can leave now. My final score for the film, it's a B. But if you want to stay and get a little bit more of this show out of you, then you can. I don't mind.
You are a blowfish.
What? Lady, whatever you're selling, I ain't buying, yo.
Well, my name is Skylar White, yo.
I get a spot? Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get through all these really, really quickly. We have some fun stuff here. Then we have the buzz in the backlot, fun facts. And after that, we'll have the MVP. You probably already know who it is, but we'll still go through it anyway. So, the best scene in the movie, the scene stealer for the entire film, best scene, no doubt, is the opening. Love that scene. It's incredible. I already said it before. Speaks for itself. It's great. The best quote in the entire movie is, "You're as beautiful as the day I lost you," from Stoic. That line of dialogue is just perfect. It's perfection. I just couldn't imagine it being said or delivered any better in the movie. One small change for the film is doing the villain right. I already said it like a ton, but doing the villain right, doing Valka, Hiccup's mom, right, would be great. Like I said before, 35 minutes would make the film 10 times better. The best side character, I'm on like a House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones high right now, so I would say Jon Snow, even though it's probably like Stoic or maybe even Astrid. Right now, as of today, at like 1 in the morning on August 27th, I say it's Jon Snow. But, not true, but it's Jon Snow. Now, as for Buzz from the Backlot, a little bit of fun facts here. I have 3, I think, or 4. No, 3. I have 3 fun facts here from Buzz from the Backlot that are really good, really cool fun facts that are really, really fun. All right, so for our first fun fact, we have when Astrid says to Eretz, "Don't you know anything?" It's apparently a reference to when Yeager repeatedly kept saying to Jon Snow, "You don't know anything, Jon Snow." Kit Harington plays both Eret and Jon Snow from Game of Thrones, and I said it before, I'm on the Game of Thrones high right now with House of the Dragon, also Game of Thrones. I can't get it out of my head, I'm sorry. Winter's coming. Jon Snow's great. I love all of it. For our second fun fact, we have originally Gobber was the one who was meant to be killed by the brainwashed Toothless, but when Guillermo del Toro read the draft of the film, he said that Stoic should be killed instead of Gobber because it would have more of an impact on the story, which is definitely true. This is the best part of the entire movie. Hiccup's biggest mistake, that being Gobber in the film, I wouldn't really care at all about it. It's definitely such a missed opportunity for it not to be Stoic in the movie. For it to be Gobber, I would really hate that for this movie. It would be like 10 times worse. And for our last fun fact here, we have that writer-director Dean DeBlois offered Cate Blanchett the role of Valka on his way to the bathroom at the Academy Awards, which, fair, understandable. Cate Blanchett in any role is incredible. She was in Tar. last year. Nope, 2022. She was in Tar, which is very good. Also, she was in Borderlands recently, which I haven't seen, but I most likely won't because I saw it was really, really bad. But Cate Blanchett, incredible actress. The fact that they nailed her for this movie is just really impressive. I mean, Lord of the Rings, Hobbit, Eyes Wide Shut, Tar, Don't Look Up, Thor Ragnarok, list goes on. She's a great actress, love her. She needs like 5 more Oscars, so she's incredible. But that is both in the backlot. I mean, that's a great little section that we do here for the show. And also just a little bit of a random piece of lore, I guess, for the show, is that the reason that we do both in the backlot, it wasn't my original idea. I didn't come up with the idea. It was actually another show that I listened to a while ago called, I forgot the name. That sounds really bad, but yeah, I forgot the name. But a different show I listened to a long time ago did Buzz in the Backlot, and they were great at it. And they ended the show very sadly, but I found a way to continue it here, which is great. And of course, lastly, our MVP award for the night, the best and most valuable character and actor in the entire movie, obviously goes to Jay Baruchel for the role of Hiccup in the movie. It's great. He's, I wouldn't say he's a great actor. He doesn't have a lot of roles, but still, great voice actor. He brings the movie to life. This is his role. He is the movie as Hiccup. So it works. It's great. He's the MVP. I don't know who else it would be. Maybe Cate Blanchett, but that's a little bit of bias. But that is our show for today. This episode is very long, and it's also 1 in the morning, so I have to get out of here. But let me know if you loved this episode. Leave us a review down below. Share the show. It's another great way to do it. That's how you support us. You keep the fridge full, keep the lights on. This whole show, all of this, our whole studio with our multi-million, billion-dollar studio isn't possible without you. I want to thank you for that. Next week on the show, I'm not sure. Again, I don't know what I'm doing next week on the show. Maybe Over the Hedge or Meet the Robinsons or Chicken Little or something random. I have no idea. But we're going into fall in September, so I'm going to try to do a fall-themed episode. Then I'll go into like Halloween, then also a bunch of other stuff we have coming up in later in the year. So I'm excited for it. Going to be a big rest of the year. Going to try to pump this out and just kind of get the rest of the year kind of smoothly here. I'll try my hardest, but I can't make any promises. But what I can promise is that on social media, I'll try to be more active. That's also not really a promise, but you know, whatever. We're on Instagram, X, and also TikTok a little bit here and there when I'm really in the mood for it, I guess. So follow us on all of those down below in the show notes. They're really fun. I don't like social media, but I have to for this show, so I do sometimes. But until next time I talk to you guys, you can leave us some fan mail down there below too. What did you think about How to Train Your Dragon 2? Was it good? Was it bad? Is it a good film? A bad film? Is Kung Fu Panda better? Is it worse? Is Spider-Man better? Is that worse or better? Who knows? I want to hear what you have to say about it. Until the next time, though, send us fan mail, obviously, but more importantly is stay swagged out, stay cool, watch a film a day, like every single day. I've been trying to, I've been doing pretty good, but also stay swagged out, stay cool, watch more movies, and of course, I'm your host, Logan, and I'll see you boys in the movie.